This is a quick reminder that Makeshift Stories will shift to a monthly release schedule starting in February. You can still look forward to the same great original and imaginative content, now released around the beginning of each month. Your support means the world to me, and I hope you'll continue to listen, share, and enjoy the podcast. Along the way, I'll keep you updated on the Makeshift Storybook project, and, when possible, surprise you with bonus episodes. Thank you for being part of this journey. I couldn't do it without you.
Is there a place in time where logic breaks down and wonderment begins? Could that be somewhere at some time along an infinite line between the reasonable and the highly unlikely? Join us on a journey into the improbable.
Makeshift Stories presents Episode 304, The Forever Worm, read by Alan V. Hare. Opening and closing theme by Matthew Erdman. Somewhere and sometime, immortality might come at a cost you are not prepared to pay. I had just come off a month-long shift in the rings, cramped into an ice miner with 15 other spacers. Other than our need for money, we had little in common, so I was looking forward to bumping into someone I hadn't been working with, playing a game of low-G pool and letting off steam. But the Methane Bar was empty when I arrived. Well, almost. Located in the old commercial zone, hidden away from the newer parts of Huygens Station, the oldest settlement on Titan, the Methane is patronized by long-termers like me, people who have given up on the possibility of leaving, and one permanent fixture. Allgera, the woman who never talks to anyone. She was in her usual seat at the back of the bar with a view of the door, watching me with her dark, creepy, vacant eyes. I tuned her out and waved at Eureka, the bartender, who looked up, nodded, then returned to wiping down the counter as I made my way over and took a stool. "A bit early, Pascoe," she commented while scrubbing a particularly stubborn stain. "I came straight from the ship to avoid the surge pricing. I know you've tied it to the door counter," I replied sarcastically. "Prices double, after what? 50% capacity?" "Oh, and I thought you're here for the companionship," she smiled half-heartedly. "Not the prices." "I am, but I also want to see new faces now and then. Are there any other ships in port?" Eureka shook her head. "Just yours. That's why the place is so empty." "I was hoping for maybe a freighter or a liner on a stopover," I lamented. "Ha ha, Pascoe, good joke. Freighters and liners don't land here anymore. They go to the big station on Enceladus. We get the mining ships, and even then, only the ones that can't afford the pad fees anywhere else." "I can always hope," I said. "Don't look so disappointed, Pascoe. Everyone on Titan's in the same boat. If you want new faces, want a change of scenery, you gotta leave. You and everyone else will be ancient or dead before you make enough to buy your way out of here." And she was right. Huygens Station was a pit so deep that few made it out of its gravity well before dying of old age. Water prices had taken a dive and never recovered after the deep wells on Enceladus started producing, leaving the ice miners who worked the rings in debt and barely able to make enough to eat. "There's other places I'd like to see, but I'll never live long enough to get to them," I grudgingly admitted. "You're probably right," Eureka dismissed, bored. "The usual?" I nodded. She's likely heard the same sob story from every ice miner. Eureka handed me my drink and claimed she needed something from the storeroom before disappearing into the back. Ahem! I twisted around. Allgera, the resident hermit, beckoned me over, nodding at the open chair by the small table she had claimed. I've never seen anyone sit there, even when the methane was packed to the rafters. "Me?" I mouthed. She nodded. Allgera was somewhere north of 60 and always dressed in baggy coveralls with the corporate patches removed. Over the years, she had become as integral to the methane's decor as the bits and pieces of obsolete ice mining gear that covered its walls, and like them, she always looked the same. never getting any older, but too old to be put to work. Surprisingly, she wasn't covered in dust and cooking grease like everything else in the place. Allegra was there every time I walked in, nursing a cup of tea. She didn't drink booze. The woman just watched, never engaging with the swarms of miners who frequent the place. So why was she interested in me? And why now? I checked around, hoping there was someone in a dark corner she was gesturing to, but there's no one. We were alone. Apprehensively, I made my way between the empty tables, the woman's eyes tracking me. My heart began to pound as I settled uncomfortably onto the chair. Was it reverence, respect, or something else that made me unable to meet her eyes? I said to myself, today is the day. I was startled by the sound of her voice. It wasn't timid or withdrawn as one would expect from a hermit. It was intense and confident. "What day?" I asked. "The day I move on," she replied cryptically. "Congratulations, I think. I assume that's something positive." "Yes," Allegra confirmed, "it is. So what do you want with me?" Up close, her age was even more ambiguous. When I focused on a wrinkle on her forehead, it melted away. When I switched to her hair, the gray strands disappeared. It was as if she saw every sign of age through my eyes and somehow instantly vanquished them. The effect made me queasy, but I was fascinated and couldn't look away. "Put a hand on the table," she said somewhere between a request and a demand. "You're a palm reader?" I exclaimed, disappointed but curious to see where this would lead. "All that mystery around you and you're just another two-bit psychic? You're going to look at my palms and tell me there's a break in my lifeline, that some incredible thing is going to happen to me, and then you'll want a pile of credits to tell me what," I sneered. Allegra smiled. "You're partly right. Something incredible is about to happen, but it won't cost you a cent. Just put a hand on the table," she repeated. "Sure, I'm game," I laughed, "but I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to pay." I placed my right hand on the sticky, beer-stained surface. Allegra placed hers over mine. Something rippled under the skin of her forearm. In an instant, before I could pull away, it engulfed both our hands, binding them together. What? I tried to choke out, but the woman was somehow in my head, and there was fear in my eyes. I was seeing myself through her eyes, our eyes. Reality shifted. The bar around me began to whirl. Then, I'm Allegra. I'm somewhere else. No, I'm not Allegra. I'm experiencing a memory. It's hers, and I'm reliving it. Another bar, another place. Earth? Another time. When? Our right hand is merged with the leathery skin of a hand belonging to an older bearded man. He's talking, apparently oblivious to my presence. "I know you want this," he asserted, and Allegra did. She wants whatever the man has to offer more than anything else. Her desperation infects my brain, and I desire it too. The man's wrapped in layers, topped by an old red plaid shirt. A well-worn parka covers his shoulders. Like Allegra's, his face is too elusive to judge age, with wrinkles melting under scrutiny. This bar is crowded. Heavy winter coats drape over every available purchase like new snow. We are sitting by a window, and although it's dark out, the ghostly presences of low buildings set in a treeless, snowy landscape cast blue in the moonlight are layered behind Allegra's reflection. Based on my limited knowledge of Earth's geography, we are somewhere in the Arctic. Allegra's reflection made her out to be the same age as the Allegra I'm with at the Methane Bar on Titan. Yet the clothes, the ancient light fixtures, and the primitive flat screens, filled with arcane videos from another time, say this is taking place in the deep past. Maybe the 21st century? I'm not great at history. It's my best guess. "Are you sure?" the man asked. "There's no going back." "Yes," we replied without hesitation. "I'm in my 60s, and look where I am. I'm in a nowhere town, drifting from job to job. Soon I'll be too old to work in the mining camps, and there is so much I want to do once I can afford to leave. I'm just getting going. I need more time." It was an all too familiar story. The bearded man sighed. "That's what I thought. Tell me, Allegra, why do you think I'm here?" We shrugged. "The mines, the high wages, money? You wouldn't even get a quarter of what you get up here in the South. We're here for the money." When the bearded man didn't respond, we added, "Me? I'm saving to see the world. The money here gets me that, but money can't buy back the decades I've spent to get it. It's a catch-22. "And I'm your way out," the bearded man concluded. "Allegra, nothing is free. There is a price," he warned. "For example, people begin to notice when you don't age. They begin to ask awkward questions. You begin to stand out. When that happens, it's time to move on. You become a drifter." "I can deal with that," we claimed, doing our best to ignore his warning. "Are you also prepared for the loneliness?" "Just because you've become a hermit doesn't mean I will," we argued. "You're here with people all around every night, but you choose not to engage." "Why?" Pain invaded the bearded man's face. We had hit a sore point. "I'm tired of bearing witness to death," he explained. "How poetic," we sneered, suspecting the man was trying to dissuade us. "I don't understand what you're trying to get at." "I hope you never will," the man said, leaning in so close we smell his dinner, sauerkraut and garlic sausages. We feel something warm begin to wrap around our right wrist and try to pull away, but we can't. "It's too late to change your mind anyway," he smiled like a feral cat. "Let me explain it this way. How old do you think I am?" "I don't know," we admit. "You said you had some unique anti-aging treatments in Switzerland. Maybe 90? I think 100 would be pushing it." "Ha!" The bearded man laughed heartily. "Add 300 to that. My, treatment was in 1640. I am 390 years old, Allegra." "I don't believe you," we say. However, both Allegra and I want it to be true. "Let me show you." Suddenly, we're experiencing his memories, and I'm now in a memory of a memory. The man is on a narrow cobblestone street talking to a woman. His hand, our hand, is holding the woman's. This is more than a handshake. Something has passed between us. It's like an infinite well. If we choose, we can drown in it, sinking through other lives back further in time than imaginable. However, on closer examination, the well is not a well. It's a living thing, a continuity flowing back through time, and the man knows what it is but is reluctant to explain. We snap back to the bar where Allegra is meeting the bearded man. "That's the moment I welcomed it and gained immortality in exchange," he admits. "You, me, and everyone who accepts it are on the short end of life, assessing where we are versus where we thought we would be. We know the mistakes and the fears that held us back and would not succumb to them again. If lucky and healthy, we have another decade, maybe 2 or 3. Even then, they are years of declining capacity, lacking the physical vigor of youth. What would you offer for more time?" he asked. How did this stranger know that was what I wanted? How does Allegra? I could get off of Titan with a small stash in another couple of decades and start living. Yet, edging 50, the numbers weren't in my favor. Whatever Allegra and the bearded man had, I wanted it and wanted it badly. The thing that had gloved our hands rolled a little further over our wrists. The bearded man watched the apparition work its way up our forearm. We felt nothing. "Stop being so cryptic," Allegra complained, "and tell me what I have to do." "Nothing. Just accept it," the bearded man stated slyly. "All you have to do is want to live forever. Then it will be yours, and I'll be normal again." My heart jumped a beat. Immortality. Was it true? All I had to do was desire it. Was it that simple? "I bet you're wondering why I would give up something so many have sought for thousands of years." The man looked mournfully around the crowded bar, his pained eyes finally connecting with ours. "I've seen 14 generations come and go," he sighed. Was that a tear forming in one eye? "I've lost more friends and lovers than I can remember. At first, I thought the pain would heal and get skinned over by the drug of new relationships. But instead, each loss lodged in the veins of my heart like plaque, silently squeezing away my desire to continue, and that was after the first 200 years. Now, almost 400 years on, well, I've given up making friends and falling in love. It's less painful to be an observer. It's a lonely life, and I've decided I don't want it anymore." The bearded man looked down at our joined hands and smiled. "It's yours now. Thank you." Something brushes my shoulder, and I'm back in the methane bar. Twisting around, I spot the cleaning bot that bumped me as it mopped between the tables. "What?" I managed to choke out, turning back to face Allgera. "We're not finished," she explained, looking down at our hands frozen together on the table. To my horror, something gooey, flesh-colored, and semi-transparent oozes from Allgera's forearm. It has encased our hands, and one tentacle-like extension is making its way up my forearm. "It won't hurt," Allgera assured. "It knows you want it." "I'm not sure," I whimpered, unable to pull away. "Nonsense," Allgera dismissed. "I've watched people come and go, listened to their conversations, and gotten glimpses of their lives. Of all the miners that frequent this dump, you are the one, and you know it. You've been moving to this point for years, always complaining about how long it will take to earn your way out and how little time you will have left. You want this. You can't deny it." She glanced at our hands. The worm-like thing had coiled around my arm. Only its tail was left on Allgera. "It needs a host," she explained. "It won't leave until you secure a new one. I'll call it what it is. A parasite. It feeds on impurities in our cells and repairs any defects it finds, which prevents you from aging. It has a vague memory of past hosts. That's the well you've experienced. Beyond that, where did it come from? Are there more? I don't know, and it doesn't know either." With a mixture of horror and fascination, I sat staring as the thing's tail finally left Allgera's arm, crossed our hands, and slid under my skin. The change in Allgera was instant. "You'll have all the life you want after you've worked off your contract, Pascoe. Now, it's time for me to enjoy what I have left. Thanks for doing this." She patted my shoulder as she walked past. "Eureka!" Allgera called out. "I think I'll have a drink today. I finally have something to celebrate." I heard from her once or twice. She had made it back to Earth, but that was 5 centuries ago. In the intervening time, taverns haven't changed much. There's a bar and a bartender, the only person everyone likes. The smell of stale beer still infuses everything. Layers of grease still hold the tables and the decor together. And finally, there's still the one regular who sits at the back that no one ever talks to, who just watches life move by as if they have all the time in the world. And they do. I do. I've been everywhere in the solar system and beyond. Like Allgera, the bearded man, and all the hosts before, moving every few decades, so our resistance to aging isn't noticed, and the temptation to make long-term friendships can't be realized. The dull orange light of TRAPPIST-1 started to spill in through the front windows as the red dwarf star dipped low on the horizon. It was the end of another nameless day. I was alone and beginning to think no one would show up. 500 years is a long, long time. A lone woman dressed in threadbare work overalls came through the front door. Maybe in her late 50s or early 60s, she looked worn down by the harsh reality of terraforming, working so hard for a future she would never see. She was exactly who I had been waiting for. I waved her over. Hi there, it's Vern Hume, aka Alan V. Hare. I wanted to share something we're absolutely loving right now. Play On Podcasts. Play On reimagines Shakespeare's timeless plays, bringing them to life with original music and incredible talent. Their current series, Julius Caesar, is a powerful adaptation that reinterprets Shakespeare's political drama through the lens of the civil rights movement. Directed by Harry Lennox and with a modern English verse translation by Shashir Kurup. The production features standout performances by Michael Potts, Megan Boone, and more, all set to original music and sound design by Lindsay Jones. If you're a fan of Shakespeare or just great storytelling in general, be sure to check out Play On Podcast's latest season wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to connect with us, please email makeshiftstories@gmail.com or visit our website at makeshiftstories.com. Links to both are in the show notes. Makeshift Stories is released around the beginning of each month. This month's story was written and read by Vern Hume, aka Alan V. Hare. Opening and closing themes were composed and recorded by Matthew Erdman. Audio production and editing by Vicata Studios. Makeshift Stories is released under a Creative Commons non-commercial attribution, no derivative license.